Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Colvin here with the busiest woman at Town Hall these days, Town Clerk Linda Hutchinrider. Hi, Linda.
Good morning.
How are you?
Oh, busy.
Exactly. I've seen you and your staff really working very hard here in Town Hall, of course, because the election day is right around the corner. So tell me, I wanted to talk with you a little bit about what people should know, what they should be aware of as they head to the polls on Tuesday. Let's start out with some simple questions. Who's eligible to vote? Who can vote in the election on Tuesday?
Anyone who is registered to vote in the town of Barnstable. And these individuals need to have answered their census. They need to be up to date. And I think one of the problems that we have is the fact that there are many people who only vote once every 4 years. And many times if they move in the interim, they may have been deleted from the list. And if they haven't checked with us in the interim, they may find themselves in a position where they might not be able to vote.
Absolutely.
So that's why we've tried to encourage them to call.
Exactly, and that deadline has passed already. It was October 17th, if I remember correctly. So if you haven't checked and you're not registered, then you cannot vote on Tuesday.
Yes, what we try to do, though, is we try to help everybody. We make a concerted effort to call, talk to everybody, and we try to find out if they've lived any place in the interim, and we do check those towns for them. And if they have moved out of town within 6 months and have not registered anyplace else, we can allow them to possibly vote in town. But there are so many, every circumstance is different, so we have to deal with it. That's why we so encourage individuals to keep their voter registration current.
Absolutely. And it does seem like there were a great deal of people who did come in to check out and did make sure to update their voter status before the deadline.
That is correct. That is correct. We've had many people come in, and I've been very glad to deal with them because that is one less problem at the polls. The big issue that individuals may find is if there is an I next to your name, that means you are inactive. That means you have not answered your census. And it might not be your fault. It might not be our fault. It might just be the fact that you've changed your postal address and we don't have it yet.
Right.
And so consequently, you can still vote if your name is on the census, if your name is on the voter list. But what you need to do is all voters should take with them an ID. Take your driver's license. If you drive there, you probably have your license, hopefully.
Exactly, already with you.
And you need to have that with you so that you can prove who you are and where you live. And as long as you have some form of ID with you, even if you don't have that, if you don't drive, if you have a bill with you that has your name and address on it, we'll accept it.
Sure, and of course this is a big election. It's a presidential election, which means we see a high voter turnout. Traditionally here in Barnstable, what kind of a turnout do we see on a presidential election day? About
80%. There are some precincts that literally have more than 80% turnout, but this one, because of the fact there are many precincts that have a lower voter turnout, you have to average it across town, and it'll probably come in between 75 and 80.
Absolutely. So what should people keep in mind as they head to the polls this election day? What are some important things that you'd like to have people keep in mind?
Don't go to the polls if you're trying to make an appointment or reach an appointment at a certain time. Wait until after that appointment or go considerably before, because one thing everybody needs to take with them is patience.
Yes.
You have to take patience. The lines will be long. They're always busy at the beginning part of the day, and they're usually busy after supper and around the, I'm getting out of work, I'll vote on the way home time. Mm-hmm. So if you can vote in between, like after lunch or, mid-morning, try to pick a different time to go. It's going to be busy all day long. But if you want to have the least amount of wait, try an off time. But don't try to fit it or squeeze it into a small period of time, because you'll be frustrated and everybody else will in the line. Enjoy yourself. Meet your neighbors.
Absolutely.
Have fun in the line. That's kind of what voting to me is all about. You get to see people that you don't normally see, and I think that's what individuals really need to consider. Have patience, meet your neighbors, but go out and realize that this is different. We're going to have observers at every single precinct. Some observers are just checking off people on lists. Other observers are looking for infractions. They're not looking for just infractions from what the the polling place has. They're looking for infractions that the voters might do. You are not to take in a cell phone. You're not supposed to be taking pictures of one another. And you should not be talking loudly in the polling place. People are trying to think. So those are kind of a few little tidbits.
Absolutely. I think patience certainly is so important, I think, obviously, for every day. But we are expecting large numbers at the polls. And sometimes when you go to vote, obviously, on non-presidential election times, there might be shorter lines or maybe no line at all, and it's a quick in and out. But this time, it definitely is busy, certainly to keep in mind. You mentioned rules and regulations, kind of interesting. I never thought about cell phones and cameras. But, of course, nowadays people have the cell phones, they've got the cameras, so you've kind of got to watch out for that. Are there rules against taking pictures of the ballot while you're in there voting?
Yes. Yes, you are not supposed to take a ballot. I know there was a few things in a few issues with Facebook. Look, this is my ballot. I just voted for the first time. You're really not supposed to do that. But, not everybody knows that.
Right.
So we just ask people to just be logical. Don't go trying to take pictures of your neighbor voting. Generic pictures you sometimes see in the newspaper of a whole lineup of people voting, and that's fine. That's fine. They sometimes do that. But you're really not supposed to take pictures of the actual ballot being voted, and there's just a lot of certain things. But cell phones, just turn your cell phone off on your way in. If your cell phone rings while you're in there, turn it off. Don't answer it and start talking loudly. Hi, Mom. No, I don't need to bring home milk. You just have to go in, vote, get out. Answer your calls on the outside.
Exactly. Make things a little easier. So in terms of finding out where to vote, obviously many people do know where to go to vote, but there's a lot of first-time voters out there, people who may not know. There was one precinct that's changing its polling location this time. So what's the best way for people to find out where they go to vote?
Well, if they are an established voter, they can go on to the website. We do have a link that literally you can put in an address and it will tell you where to go vote, but it doesn't tell you if you are an active voter. So if you haven't voted in 4 years or 2 years and you may have moved, you can always call our office and double check. We're extraordinarily busy at this point, but we're more than happy to answer your calls. The other thing is relative to why we're busy is all these people coming in for absentee ballots. The big thing I want to get out there is absentee voting is not early voting. We don't have that in Massachusetts. And I know there are some people that now think I'm an evil beast because I have asked them, where are you going to be on Tuesday? And well, I'm here to early vote. And you can't.
Right.
That's it. You go to the polls if you're here, and it is an election fraud issue, and you can be fined up to $10,000 if somebody takes you to task on it.
So under what circumstances are you allowed to file an absentee ballot?
Well, say for instance, at the last moment you got a chance to go to Hawaii.
Okay, sounds good to me.
I think you'd like to go. You can go, or even if you're going to be out of town, you have an appointment in Boston or Holyoke or someplace, yes, you can do that. Or if you are scheduled for a medical procedure and you have to be in the hospital, and I'm wishing all those people well. But those issues, plus there are some people who, for religious beliefs, cannot go to the polls. Only those 3 issues.
Right.
You can't just go because you want to avoid a line or you just want to vote early. We don't have early voting. I truly wish the federal government would get together and make the laws across the United States so that we'd all have the same rules. So that'll come.
Exactly. Well, certainly a busy time for you and your staff. I know you're looking forward to Wednesday of next week when things are all over for sure. Some parting comments, parting advice for those prospective voters out there on Tuesday.
Have patience, but I'd like to give you a little word of wisdom from Samuel Adams.
Okay.
Let each citizen remember, at the moment he's offering his vote, that he is executing one of the most solemn trusts in human society for which he is accountable to God and his country. Go vote.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Linda, and we appreciate you joining us here on the show. Linda Hutchinwriter, our town clerk. I'm Sarah Colvin.
Thank you.